Oh, hello there. Here you are, right on time. Welcome to my little slice of the void, where I will sometimes talk about things that I think are cool and interesting. Now, you probably found yourself here because you also may find the stuff I talk about cool and interesting, and so you're seeking out people and channels with similar interests. But that's not entirely true, is it? Instead, what you clicked on is actually a carefully curated thumbnail and video title selected for you by an automated middleman that has ran all of your views, your searches, and watch times through an algorithm and decided, for some reason, to put this brand new channel in front of you. This is the world of YouTube. Started in 2005 as a place to upload and watch video content, here in 2025, YouTube has now grown into one of the largest and most active hubs of communication on the planet. With 2.7 billion monthly users and around 63 million active content creators sharing information and perspectives with one another, and that number is only set to grow from there, despite emerging competition from places like Twitch and them being in the middle of the never-ending red ocean battle that is the social media landscape. Now, the purpose of this video is to explore 5 questions, and in doing so, get the answer not only to why you are here, but if you even want to stick around to begin with. And those questions are as follows. Number 1, why do we watch YouTube? 2, why do some people feel compelled to make YouTube videos? 3, why has YouTube grown so exponentially? 4, what is YouTube then? And finally, 5, given all that incredibly interesting window dressing, what the hell is the point of this channel? But before we get to that, I do have a little story I'd like to tell. Christmas Day, 1999. I had just wrapped up The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time after walking away from the game for months due to frustrations with the Spirit Temple. Suffice to say, I was very excited with this achievement and entering the living room where my parents and grandparents were having after-dinner drinks. And like a dam overflowing with too much water, I let it spill, excitedly describing my thoughts on the game and describing the game's ending in exhaustive detail. This, however, was met with silence. "That's great, honey," my mother said, after a moment of contemplation. My grandfather, more honest and to the point, had a question for me. "Do you like it?" I replied that I did. "If you like it, then you enjoy it." And that was it. That was the response, and with that dismissal, they went back to their discussion, taking my enthusiasm with them. There's not much that I can say to describe my feelings in that moment. While it was true that none of them were gamers with the exception of my dad, and that even he was not a fan of Legend of Zelda, being 13-year-old carried with it the expectation that the room would turn and pay attention to me and my interests, and to my recollections, this was the first time that did not happen. I was crushed, and it certainly stuck with me to the point that I remember it to this day. And in that moment, I had never felt so alone. Now, this feeling of being separate from those around you is something nearly anyone with a niche interest in the late 90s, like anime or video games, can probably attest to. The difference being that at that time, there was no social media to find others with those same interests. So to answer the first question, I think that the reason why we watch YouTube has a lot to do with the fact that we all have an internal desire to see our own interests reflected in others, which legitimates in our minds that we are not as alone as it may feel we are sometimes in this vast world. Some of the earliest viral content revolving around these niche interests. And while this goes a long way into explaining the reason why we watch, I don't feel like it entirely covers why some would take that next step and begin to create content themselves. And to get to the heart of that, we'll need to dive a little bit deeper in. You see, while the act of watching and consuming the art put onto the platform is largely a passive act, the only requirement being that you watch or listen, creating the art is an entirely different beast, with an escalation in skill set that is required. Now, you need to have better internet. You need to have a mic that is not a potato. I am repeatedly told that I do not meet this parameter, and for this, I am sorry. One day, I may be apologetic enough to actually buy a better mic. Anyway, you need to have a cursory idea of how to work a video editor. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the jump from being a viewer to an artist is a lot of fucking work. So never let anyone tell you that making videos with any kind of quality isn't hard, because as you can tell by the quality of this trailer I'm making right now, it is. So then why go through all of this? One thing constantly put out there is the idea that people who make YouTube videos want to get famous or want to make a living doing YouTube. I used to be one that holds this view, but after getting to know many YouTubers, large and small, I now feel like that's a fairly cynical explanation that misses the core of why we do this. Believe me when I tell you that there are a lot easier ways to make money and get attention if you really, really want to do that. And I actually believe it is as simple as that little boy who wanted to tell an audience how much Ocarina of Time impacted him back in 1999. And this is the social magic that has made YouTube skyrocket to heaven, transforming this simple video sharing platform into one of the most formidable and ubiquitous social media platforms in the world. Look back at the dawn of YouTube content, the videos that people made, and the content that took off. Much of it revolved around these more niche interests, with channels like Cinemassacre and Channel Awesome harnessing the power of comment sections to attract an audience looking for that legitimation we talked about. Over time, these tools would evolve and expand, layering in community message boards for particular creators and ultimately blossoming into monetization, the platform and its content finally being too large for advertisers to ignore. And with advertisement revenue came questions on the compensation of the artists on the platform, and with that came the need to sort, compartmentalize, target, and curate content. Any system that cannot produce enough control mechanisms to oversee its variables is destined to collapse. And at this point, there was too much money at stake to allow this to happen. Thus, the algorithm as we know it was born. This is the modern reality of YouTube, an eldritch, algorithmic middleman that stands between artists and audience, the shadow that must be contended with. In the Library of Babel, Jorge Borges imagines a vast library containing all possible versions and languages of all possible books in existence. The question becoming that with so much choice and so many books to choose from, how does one ever find what they are looking for? And if the knowledgeable middlemen, in this case the librarians, are the ones who, by necessity, control access to what you see with their recommendations, are you making the choice for which books are found? Or are they making the choice for you? For the audience, the question is, can I even find what I am looking for? And for the artist, will the people who may want to see my work ever find it? Becomes the question. YouTube is a house of horrors in many ways. The horror of never finding your audience. The terror of never making that connection to an artist you may have loved. And the story of a platform designed to bring us together in design, but serving to keep us apart in function. Many viewers giving up on the active search and giving into the ride this algorithm takes them on. And in turn, many creators driving themselves mad, chasing some magic code that will put them at the helm of this machine. And it's a sad thing to watch from both perspectives. So, why bother? Why bother with any of this? I cannot answer that question with a universal, but for me, it's that despite the fact that these connections are a long shot, despite the fact that they may never come, that this video may be met with silence, another book lost in the vast library of Babel, that is YouTube. It's that the opportunity for those connections is there at all makes it worthwhile. I've met so many wonderful people through this thing, despite YouTube's separation machine. Found so much incredible art that gets me through my workday. Found so many more games and movies and pieces of music that have enhanced my life and opened myself up to worlds that I never would have known existed otherwise. That's why I do this. That's what this channel is about. Sharing interests and hearing about yours in return. It's about connection in a world that tries to mystify connection at all costs. And if even one of you manages to stumble into this place, in all that cold and all that dark and find this lost piece of art, open it up, and manage to get anything out of it at all, I think that's cool. And I hope you'll stick around with me to see what other pieces of art that we may find together. Thanks for listening. The circle now opens.